Hey, guys, welcome in. It is loaded this time of year. I mean, let's face it, we've got college football week 11, NFL week 10, college basketball, in case you haven't noticed. Of course, you've noticed. College basketball in full swing, NBA. I mean, you name it, we've got it. Ralph Michaels joining us. WagerTalk.com is where you can find him. And, of course, we want to invite you guys to check out our happy hour tip-off show. Tuesdays, Fridays, guys, college basketball, if that's what you like, if that's what you're into. This is definitely the guy and the show that you are going to want to hear from. So, Ralph, loaded here in college football week 11. It starts really, well, we've had some MAC, but I don't consider that real football. We'll talk tonight, for instance. Let's start at the top. South Florida. I've always promised myself I should never bet on Charlie Strong again. I've lost enough money, but he is at home. He is a dog. Temple's coming in. Charlie Strong kind of needs this, right? He wants to make a bowl game. They kind of need this after the way they started the year. It's only 2 points. What do you think about this game?
Well, Joe, my advice on the need theory is Akron needs some wins too, and UMass needs some wins. That doesn't mean shit to me.
That's a solid point.
To me, it's the eye test. I think Temple's a superior team. And why I think the line is where it's at is because people look at Temple and say, my God, in the last 3 games, they gave up 492 yards, 655 yards, and 614 yards. What the hell's wrong with their defense? Well, I'll tell you what's wrong with their defense. They played the number 2, the number 8, and the number 20 offense in the country. They played 3 top 20 offenses, and they got rolled over on defense.
Yep.
Who has USF played? Their wins. Connecticut, we've talked about them enough. BYU was starting a freshman quarterback, a true freshman quarterback, making his first start on the road, and they beat East Carolina. I think we're getting value because of the results in the last 3 or 4 weeks. Temple's the better team. Temple rebounds off those 2 losses.
There you go. See, and that's how you start the week off right there, guys. Also, it wouldn't hurt you to head over to WagerTalk.com. And, of course, Ralph's got his packages up there. Make sure you check out his page. He's got college football up tonight. All sorts of stuff that you are going to need in order to make it a profitable week, available right now at WagerTalk.com. And, all right, Ralph, so the standings came out earlier in the week, right? So the committee meets. They're smoking cigarettes, eating donuts, drinking coffee. They come out and they tell us Ohio State's the best team in the country. Alabama's in there at 3, Penn State, and then, of course, LSU. So why don't we start with Penn State? They have another undefeated team in their sights here tonight, another Big Ten team this weekend with Minnesota. Minnesota's down to number 17. So I don't know, Ralph, when you looked at this in this game, is Minnesota undervalued and Penn State overvalued, or do you think this is about right?
Checking on my stat compare sheet, I completely understand where Minnesota is, and deservedly so. They've played the number 82 schedule. So you look at who they've played, and they haven't played anyone. But, I don't think Penn State deserves to be this big of a favorite. You went to Iowa, you put up 294 yards. You went to you faced Michigan, you put up 283 yards at home. Then you go to Michigan State, you put up 302 yards. Well, you're playing a very good defense, and again, to me, that doesn't warrant laying those points. Minnesota's defense allowing 3.1 yards per carry, allowing 57% completions. And the other thing is that people look at Minnesota and say, well, how can you back a team that struggled against South Dakota, struggled against Fresno State, struggled against Georgia Southern, trailed in all 3 of those games? Well, you have a quarterback, P.J. Fleck, who played a lot of young kids last year. He's now in the 3rd year of his system. He's playing his kids, and he played a lot of young kids early. To me, it's a building block. You learn how to win close games. You have adversity. You were at Fresno State and you were down and you came back and won. Doesn't matter who you beat. I think that adds a lot to a team. So to me, I just think I have a defensive dog here at home that's excited and thrilled. I think I have the better coach with P.J. Fleck. I like the Minnesota Gophers.
I can in this, especially getting the points at this point. Big Ten, really, the eyes are going to be on there a lot with Ohio State coming in at number 1, of course, taking on Maryland, who I think they scored all their points for the year in week 1. That was it. They decided they didn't want to play offense anymore after that. But another team that's going to be going at it, how about Michigan State, man? It was supposed to be a bounce back for D'Antoni this year, wasn't it? Wasn't Michigan State supposed to come back? It was a down year last year. They're supposed to win all these games. Michigan State taking on Illinois there and Lovey and company. They've got a couple of big wins. Good old Lovey and the crew there. What do you think? They're going to get another one this weekend?
Well, why are we bringing up this game? Well, because I have an interesting angle to go with it. That's why we're bringing up this game, because we're just trying to help our viewers. Give them a fish and they can eat for a day, or teach them how to fish. How does that go, Joe? I don't know. But, we could give you plays and hopefully they win and hopefully you win money. Or we can give you situations that you could think about and perhaps make you a better by thinking, oh, I don't necessarily want to think this for this reason. So this is just one of those thought games, Joe. I'm not that high on Michigan State, and they've burned me, and I don't know if they could score. But with the angle, I wanted to bring it up. And the angle is this. Since 1980, there's only been 21 times where a team is off 3 straight losses, facing a team off 3 straight wins, and has been a favorite of 4.5 or more. And I think public sentiment is, well, I mean, God, Illinois is hot. They beat Wisconsin, they beat Purdue, they beat Rutgers, and Michigan State sucks. They've gotten outscored, 82-17 their last 3 games against Ohio State, Wisconsin, and Penn State. But history shows us, in those 21 situations, they've gone 19-2 straight up. They've gone 16-5, 71% against the spread. And then if you look at it closer, you could say, well, I guess Michigan State was at Ohio State, the best team in the country. At Wisconsin was in a great situation, and Michigan State was playing back-to-back road games against those two. And then they took on Penn State in horrible weather situation, and they lost. Then I look at Illinois and say, well, hell, they picked off Wisconsin the week they were playing Ohio State. Wisconsin was in a look-ahead situation. They're playing a Purdue team that's been banged up as any in football, and then they beat Rutgers. So, again, it's not like I'm wild on the play, but we just wanted to talk about it again. We want to make our viewers better bettors, and I think this game is one that you have to think about for that reason.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. And, anytime that we can bet against Lovie Smith and company, I think we are good to go there. And Michigan State's not that bad. Kids are always talented. He's too good a coach. But, the question's going to come here, Ralph, at some point. Maybe is the message getting stale? Maybe is it a change at Michigan State, or is he there for life?
That's a great question. And I would have said he was there for life, but how much of a stagnant offense can you have for how many years? I mean, I'll tell you what, if Harbaugh didn't turn it on in the second half of the Penn State, I might have questioned if he was going to be there. Yep. We saw the light go on, and we talked about it on this show. That second half of the Penn State game, I think, was a season changer. Mm. And it's hard to say Harbaugh was on the hot seat, but this is Michigan. 3 lost seasons aren't something you're accustomed to and you live with every year. So, yep. This year changed my perspective. I would have thought D'Antonio can name his departure date. We'll see. I mean, he has to go to Michigan, so he's going to have another loss. But if he loses this game and they end up losing 5 in a row, I would say that the seat's getting a little warmer.
And deservedly so. Ralph Michaels, WagerTalk.com. Again, guys, head over to WagerTalk.com. Check out the Cal Sports page. On Twitter as well, at CalSportsLV is where you can reach Ralph. But, of course, free plays, information, always great information there at WagerTalk.com, both at that site and on YouTube. And, Ralph, of course, we'd be, remiss if we didn't talk about it. So let's bring it up. LSU, Alabama, man. Number 2 versus number 3. Somebody's got to lose. At least I think that's how it works. You got me thinking about that whole damn fish thing. But, yes, somebody has got to lose. I'm pretty sure of that. And if I hear one more person tell me that Alabama doesn't deserve to be in the top 4 and is this and that, and LSU, well, LSU, you got to prove it. And they have an opportunity to prove it. Tua looks like he's going to play. Do they have enough, Ralph? Do they have enough to be able to get it done?
Well, I have no play on this game. So just full disclosure, we're talking about it because we have to. And I've got some interesting numbers to talk about it. From our good friend Mark Lawrence, when we have AP 1-2, when we have a 1-2, because this is basically that situation.
It is.
Teams, the number one team is 10-2 straight up, 8-3-1 against the spread in the regular season since 1980. When the higher ranked team, like the number one team, like LSU in the AP rankings, is a dog, they're 8-0 straight up in ATS. So an interesting thought. And you think, well, you're better for a reason and you're a dog, so they have one. But, I say this. I say to Saban, he's using these rankings as his chip on the shoulder. Look, guys, LSU's ranked higher than us. We're shit. We don't, we should be the underdog in this game because LSU's that much better than us. But, it's cream rising to the crop, and there's no other. I can't give you any ATS number. I can't give you a straight up number besides Alabama's won 31 straight games at home. Every one of those except one was by double digits, by 7 or more. The only game they didn't cover was Tennessee in 2015, and that was between playing a top 7 A&M team on the road and a top 7 LSU team. That was one of the worst sandwich situations you'll get. Mm-hmm. But this is my number on this game. Alabama has spent 65 straight weeks in the AP top 5. When you're that good, you're at home, you're basically only laying a few points on top of what your home field edge. I can't bet against you. If LSU beats you this one time, that's fine. Bama's dominated them, 8 straight wins in the series. You're at home where you rarely lose. You have a coaching edge. I mean, Orgeron deserves a lot of credit. Mm-hmm. You could say Joey Burrow's the Heisman favorite, and he's the better quarterback this year. But Tua's been there, done that. I mean, national champion. I mean, if he's healthy, then there's no way I could bet against Alabama. So if LSU won this game, would I be surprised? No. Alabama wins? No. So it's one of those games I'm going to watch. I lean with the over. I think there's going to be some scoring in there, but I am just going to be a fan like the rest of the world this week and enjoy the hell out of the game.
It's a good way to do it. Sometimes it's best not to have a horse in the race. Just kick back as a fan and enjoy the show because it should be a show, that's for sure. Ralph Michaels, wagertalk.com. That is where you can get him at CalSportsLV on Twitter. Make sure you're checking him out and tailing him. And Ralph, as customary as we usually do here on the show, you've always got a couple of interesting tidbits of information. You got a trend or two for our viewers here that'll help them be a better this weekend?
I do. And the first one is something that I've been playing against. And I'm not necessarily saying go and fade these 3 teams this week, but understand the concept and realize why it happens. And when you have a system that, number 1, has longevity, number 2, has a big enough sample size, and number 3 makes complete sense, that's when you're either going to push a play that's in the gray area to be a play, or perhaps if you are on the other side, not make it a selection. Every team goes into the college football season with a goal of having a bowl game. You look through your schedule and you say, well, can we find 6 wins? Well, if we win this game and we win this game, yeah, we can get to 6. Even the worst teams think they can get to 6. So when you are during the season and you're off a loss and it's your 7th loss, your goals are shattered. You are no longer bowl eligible. Coaches sometimes get fired at that point. Coaches sometimes switch schemes and start going to their younger kids looking to next year. And with a subset, if you're a home dog of 8 or more off a loss, which is your 7th loss, you've gone 12-28, 30% since 2015. And I'm only using since 2015 to give you a recent history. The percentages are pretty close, even going back further. It might be 35% fade. But the teams this week, you'd look to fade Tulsa, UTEP, and New Mexico. Those are the teams that are off a 7th loss. And one more that, I find interesting, and I actually like the situation fading this team. It's for Friday night, Joe, and it's the Oregon State-Washington game. Well, again, Washington, hell, they had national championship aspirations. They had Pac-12 title aspirations. Those are all gone, especially in the last 2 weeks when they lost to Oregon and Utah. But what was unique in those 2 losses the last 2 weeks? They actually had the lead going into the fourth quarter in both games. They led Washington 31-28. They led Utah 21-19 going into the fourth quarter. They lost both of those games straight up. Since 2014, when a college football team has had a lead into the fourth quarter in back-to-back games and lost both of those games, they've gone 6-19 against the spread. So you would fade Washington. I've been on Oregon State the last couple weeks. They pulled an outright upset against Cal. They pulled the outright upset last week against Arizona. They're getting 10 as a home dog. Jake Luton has a 19-1 ratio. I like OSU. I like the Beavers in that spot Friday night.
All right, get them going, guys. Plenty of information for you to be able to get dangerous, make it a profitable college football weekend. And don't forget, guys, plenty of information, plenty of stuff available to you over at wagertalk.com. Make sure you get there today. Look at the Cal Sports page. Also, make sure you tail and Ralph on Wager Talk there on Twitter, at Cal Sports LV. And if college basketball is what you fancy, guys, make sure you're checking out the Happy Hour Tip-Off show here on Wager Talk. You can also check it out on the YouTube page, all the usual places, guys. You can check it out. We'll be breaking down just about everything you need in order to make it a profitable college basketball season. So, Ralph, let's get at it tonight, man. Let's get this weekend. Let's get it going. College football week 11, only about 5 weeks left, and then it's bowl season. So good luck to you, man. Appreciate the time. We'll talk to you again next week.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it.
You got it. Ralph Michaels, wagertalk.com, guys. Get there today.